classroom full of kids with your eyes closed, but when it comes to things like taxes and contracts and your legal status, does it all feel like a totally different language? Don't worry, you are not alone. Today, we're going to translate all that confusing business stuff into a super simple guide so you can get back to what you do best. Let's jump in. We all start with the dream, right? Being your own boss, teaching from a cool cafe somewhere, making a living doing what you actually love. And look, that dream is totally 100% achievable. But the reality? Yeah, that can sometimes feel a bit more like a nightmare of paperwork, wondering what your legal status even is, and basically juggling 3 different jobs. You're the teacher, the accountant, and the marketing department. But the good news is, it's all manageable once you learn the rules of the game.
And that whole game really starts with this one single question. I'm serious. The answer to this determines pretty much everything else. How you do your taxes, what your legal responsibilities are, the whole shebang. Getting this right from day one is the absolute foundation for your entire business.
Okay, so for the vast majority of online teachers, this is you. You're an independent contractor. This is a huge mindset shift. You're not just an employee of some platform or a student. You are a business owner providing a professional service. You're in charge. And that means you get all the freedom, but you also get all the responsibility that comes with it.
So how can you be absolutely sure? Well, it really boils down to a few key things. If you're the one deciding when you work and how you teach, that's a big check in the contractor box. If you're using your own laptop, your own webcam, your own stuff, that's another check. But honestly, the biggest clue is usually the money. If you're getting paid your full rate with 0 taxes taken out, that's a massive sign that, in the eyes of the law, you're a self-employed business.
All right, let's dive into the topic that gives most freelancers a little bit of anxiety: taxes. I get it, it's nowhere near as fun as teaching, but just ignoring it, not an option. The trick is to stop thinking of it like this big, scary monster and start seeing it for what it is: a simple, repeatable process. And we have to have a little fun with it, right? Old Ben Franklin was definitely onto something. For us, as business owners, taxes are just a predictable part of the deal. And once you accept that, you can build a system to handle them without all the stress. So when do you even have to start thinking about this? Well, in the US, this is the magic number: $400. If your net earnings, and that's your total income minus your business expenses, is over $400 for the year, you have to file a tax return. It's a really low number, and it catches a lot of new freelancers by surprise.
Okay, this is it. This is the game plan that turns tax time panic into just another routine. Just 4 steps. First, track every single dollar that comes in. Second, log every single business expense. We'll talk more about why that's a huge deal in a second. Third, and this is non-negotiable, set up a separate savings account, and every time you get paid, move 25 to 30% of it over. That's your tax money. Don't touch it. And finally, you've got to pay those taxes quarterly. It stops you from getting hit with a terrifying massive bill in April.
And this is why logging your expenses is so important. These things here are called deductions. They are business expenses that you can legally subtract from your income, which means you pay less in taxes. Your high-speed internet? That's a business expense. The puppets and flashcards you use? Business expense. Even a portion of your rent can be deducted if you have a dedicated space you use as a home office. Every single deduction saves you real money, so track everything. Okay, so what happens when we add another layer of, well, complexity? What happens when your classroom isn't just a room in your house, but the entire world? For all you digital nomads out there, this freedom adds a whole new puzzle to the tax situation. I mean, just look at this question. This right here is the classic digital nomad dilemma. You're physically in one country, your clients are in another, and your passport is from a third. It feels impossibly complicated, and making a mistake here can be super costly. The answer really depends on a few key international tax rules.
So it usually boils down to one of 2 systems. Most of the world uses what's called tax residency. Basically, if you live in Spain for more than half the year, usually 183 days, then Spain says, hey, you're a tax resident here. Simple enough. But, and this is a huge but, the US is different. It uses citizenship-based taxation. This is a really big deal. It means if you are a US citizen, you have to file US taxes on your income from all over the world, no matter where you're living. Figuring out which of these systems applies to you is step number 1.
Okay, so we've covered the big principles and some of the tricky problems. Let's wrap things up by talking about the practical tools and habits you need to put in place to handle all this stuff like a total pro.
Think of this as your business survival kit. Get some simple accounting software to track everything, open a separate bank account just for your business, and please, always use a written contract. These aren't just suggestions, they're the habits of successful business owners. But you know what? Maybe the most important piece of advice is the last one. When you're not sure, especially with all the international tax rules, paying an expert for an hour or two of their time isn't an expense. It's one of the best investments you can possibly make in your business.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Are you just working a job or are you building a business? Because handling your taxes, understanding your legal status, and using contracts, that isn't just boring paperwork. It's the very act of taking yourself and your skills seriously. It's the difference between just having a job and actually building a sustainable, professional, and profitable business. The choice is yours.